We live?
Salutations, everyone. We're the
Well, not
GoldTail
live on
D&D
mine
group.
yet.
Oh, well, go live already.
I
Go
know.
now.
Just go
Wait,
live,
wait,
jeez.
Shut up.
Wait.
Chat, everyone's already being mean to me. We're alive, by the way. Everyone's being mean to me.
Oh, it's lies and slander.
It's lies and slander.
Salutations, everyone. My name is Riley Arlick, and welcome to GoldTail D&D. Last time, the group came out of a cave, discovering that it opened up into the far side of the Arcala eastern wall, into the remains of a giant monster felled by the great Spippin D. Winklebottom
Oh my god.
Oh
in
no.
an age long
It's
past.
It's canon.
The worst part is I had to use that name in my other campaign too, and they were like, "What? Where'd you get that name?" And I said, "It's a long story."
It's a long story.
It's actually a very short story. I just didn't want to tell it. But in those remains, they discovered a few clues to the remains that they saw, and the urgency of there being a hole that leads right into the Axe and Boot Tavern, to which many of them are regular patrons. From there, they met Gregian Daenor, Captain Gregian Daenor, captain of the Arcalan Guard, the living part of it anyway, a gold dragonborn that was very intent to keep the existence of that hole hush-hush, and to set these adventurers, the only ones that would rightfully know of this hole, on the path of exploring the area around the forest outside of Arcala to find any clues as to the origin of this hole. In doing so, hopefully they'll find out who's responsible, even if they're long gone, and get to work in filling that hole. Speaking of filling that hole, Urist's father, Emin Eshton, put Urist on the path to find a new kind of stone that originates from the northern elvish city of Yefshire. Not Yefshire.
You said it.
Shire. I'm just covering my bases now.
Yeah.
Also, Quinn and Clume met up with Mona to take a look at a stone that they found in the Mimic's mouth. By the way, a Mimic that still is at large.
Yes.
Missing.
Yeah.
That stone had a rune engraved on the inside of it that said a few key words. But finally, coming to rest after a long day of adventuring and talking to political who's-its and what's-its, the group departed to finally come to rest at their various abodes and sleep. It's in that sleep that Warren had a very particular dream.
Oh.
A dream of mountains and thunder and rock slides and a face. Face of what? Features that can't quite be made out. Human, dwarf, lizard, impossible to tell. And it is there that we begin, as the morning rises on the, believe it or not, only second day of your adventure. Each of you awake to a messenger at your door. Adre, the messenger knocking on the door to the room that you share with Jubilee. Warren, a messenger knocking on your door in your room at the Axe and Boot. A messenger knocking on the door of the room of Quinn and Clume. And a messenger making a formal request to deliver a message to Urist Eshtan, back at her father's estate as well. The messengers are simple guardsmen that have been dispatched by Captain Gregian Daenor with a written note explaining for you to meet him in the barracks by the northern gate of Arcala. And you can see on your map that Gregian is marked, little golden dragonborn token up in the top left. That is where you will begin today's adventure. Summoned as you are, you gather your belongings and step into a barrack that immediately smells of sweat, coal, and steel. The immediate entrance is large and wide, with a gate that opens up with two massive doors and even a portcullis that is lifted all the way up to the top. It is a small fortress within the walls, protected even from its own people, with many arrow slits and crenellations at the top of what looks to be a miniature castle. Making your presence known, a guard guides you through the halls of the barracks, past statues and rows of armor and weapons at attention to Greggian Daenor's office, up a flight of stairs and around a swift corner. The office is Spartan. Not much in the way of decoration, but filled with a variety of books and folders and scrolls of parchment. Greggian Daenor stands, welcomes you, bids you to sit on a variety of small, basic wooden chairs, and waits for you all to do so.
So, what do you want from us today?
The captain looks out over the rest of the group, nods as he sees that everyone has arrived, one after the other. As you know, we have an issue. There's a hole in the wall, and it's got to be investigated.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only group that I can trust to handle this because you're the only ones that know of its existence. What I need you to do is make a clean sweep of the area outside the hole. See if you can pick up on anything, and I don't care how old it is. Some of my men reported, after investigating the hole, they found the same campsite. It looks to be quite old indeed. It's impossible to tell exactly, but that makes it all the more mysterious. Is this something that happened a long time ago and we've been ignorant all this time? Or is it something else that has gone on and the campsite simply deteriorated because of the humid environment in the caves below, or the other monsters that were inhabiting the area? Either way, that's your mission. I need you 5, and he catches each of your eyes in turn, to assist me in this investigation and keep it quiet. Can I trust you to do that?
So Warren,
Oh no.
he goes, all right, he's like, so he strikes a pose, right? All right, so he's doing the Captain Morgan pose, but he doesn't have anything to like put his hoof on, so he just holds it in the air. And he looks triumphantly up and stares up at the ceiling, you know, and he's like, never fear, for we will solve this mystery. We have the divine protection and guidance of, as we will resolve this issue with post haste. No, and we will, of course, keep it under wraps. We are very good at that, yes, I am certain.
Jesus Christ.
And he kind of takes a moment, kind of tilts his head a little bit, sees that your hoof isn't actually standing on anything, and slowly kind of leans back and says, right, does the paladin speak for the rest of you?
Urs coughs. Then gives a shrug. For us is a bit of a stretch, but certainly with us. We'd be happy to help.
Warren just does 1,000. Now he's still in the pose, and he's just doing 1,000-yard stare. Like puts his clawed hands up to his chin. He just thinks for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
He just gets lost in thought, trying to like think of a question.
And Warren, was there anything else that you wanted to do before heading out?
So after realizing that everyone is like left, he's like, and so he like stops, hops out, and he just sort of sees everyone, you know, like Ernst goes off somewhere, Quinn and everyone kind of just scatters about except for Adre. So Warren just falls behind Adre going towards the gate.
Okay. So you and Adre are sitting, waiting for Quinn and Clume and Urist to return and your journey to begin. What do you do while you wait?
So Warren, he's just awkwardly standing there, just kind of glancing over at Adre every now and again. He's just like, and he sees the pig, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a brilliant idea." Like, interesting little pet you have there. Is this how you get herbs and spices? I've heard of ways to from temples and stuff. They get their herbs and everything, and he just goes on talking about herbs and medicines, and like, this is like, do you grow them from the pig for like 2 minutes solid?
How do you respond to that?
Audrey's just got this. Is this the dumbest person I have ever met? Look at his face. But he's nice enough not to say it.
So you have the awkward conversations for a little while. Your compatriots return, and the five of you set off. Now,
Excellent.
going past the gate, the gate guard eyes you not suspiciously, but you can tell it's a little bit more than just taking note of your leave. The gate itself is immense, with several layers of defenses that may be closed or opened. At the moment, opened. There are no immediate threats, but the skeletons of the watchtowers and other guards are ever watchful for the approach of large monsters. As soon as you leave through the gate, you realize how lonely the road ahead is. It's traveled well enough, especially by the undead work crews that gather lumber and stone and other materials from out beyond the walls, but not often by many living things. The first thing that you see to your left is another set of remains of a monster slain in an age long past. These are older than the ones you've seen before. They're a common sight even for those that enter and exit the wall, or even and even the source of bravery for young children. Children will sometimes collect at the gate under the watchful eye of the guards, and they will dare each other to go and touch one of the bones jutting out of the ground. Continuing along, you pass the First Watchtower, probably one of the most sturdy places of the wall, reinforced by large boulders and concrete and even wooden scaffolding from a point that had fallen off recently and was now in the process of being slowly and carefully repaired. And that's the state of a lot of the wall. Adre, you are perhaps the keenest-eyed of the group, at least along this stretch of the wall. And as the first, let's say, half hour of hiking and scanning the wall briefly, you don't see any particular hints of any signs of life. No tracks, no hole, no real signs of life outside of this part of the wall. You finally come back around to the eastern side of the wall, where the remains of the ancient lizard that Spippin' Winklebottom slayed.
I still can't believe that's the canon name.
Don't let me name things.
Yes. It is before you reach that location that you come upon a tree, the dead tree, the same one that you see on the map. Its roots have decayed and splintered. Its branches sag and sway kind of pathetically in a shiver of that might resemble somebody shivering in the cold, but this is a tree and it's a perfectly temperate, beautiful day out. And it's here that, Urist, you notice something. At the base of the tree, something has been carved into the wood.
I'm gonna take a look at it.
Do you tell your friends that you've seen this thing, Urist?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, Erst is gonna point it out and approach to give it a look.
Okay. Approaching at first, you might dismiss it as, a very brave gesture of love between two lovers of an age past, because the shape looks vaguely heart-like, and there's one symbol and then another symbol next to each other. Initials, you might think at first, but not of Quinn. What languages do you speak? Hold on, let me check.
No,
I see them. Okay, yeah,
I'm
you
not
see
saying.
them. You see them in Giant, which shares roots with Primordial,
Accurate.
Does it?
and using
Oh, it does.
that understanding, the two runes effectively translate to cold and death.
Oh. We have lure, food, cold, and death. There we go.
Yes. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. I didn't. This is impressive. What kind of
This tree threatening us.
This tree threatening us? Just say the word, and I can make the tree go away.
First, we'll thump one of her hands against it for a moment.
As you do that, the bark of the tree
Attacks.
gives away almost like pushing your hand into styrofoam. It crumbles, cracks, and goes to ash very quickly. So, thump, thump, you have a fist-size dent now in the tree where it's just crumbled away and drifted to dust.
Urs takes something of a step back. All right, that's not how I expected to solve this.
Once again, take that tree. Warren's just like sizing up this tree.
I'll handle this. I just need 10 minutes to prepare.
So he's gonna, what is this? Divine Sense? Do I know of any undead, fiend, or celestial beings within 60 feet of me?
You do.
Oh! Uh-oh.
I mean,
I
the
was
undead are
expecting
very
a no to that.
common.
I think you forget where this world's taking place.
Yes, so you do detect exactly that. And the location is the tree,
Well, that's not great.
and it has been desecrated.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
this area appears to have been desecrated. It's very interesting. Specifically, the tree. Zombie tree.
Urs would try to pick up the ritual a little quicker, but knows that that's not going to help.
That's not gonna help. It's like, uh-oh.
First, it focuses, and as Renard is explaining the nature of this thing,
This
your
thing.
ritual completes. Detect magic. So go ahead and do me the favor of doing exactly what Warren did, and click on detect magic so I have the full
Yeah,
breadth
certainly.
of that as well. Perfect. So you sense the presence of magic within 30
Think
feet.
faster.
If you sense magic in this way, you can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, which is, once again, the tree. And you do learn the school of magic, which is necromancy.
Yep, I suppose that's not especially surprising at this rate.
Between those two senses, you get the idea that the tree is undead and powered by some sort of necromantic energy.
I was like, yes, it's very strange. You know, the keepers and tenders seem to keep, undead minions, but I've never heard of an undead tree being kept before. Very interesting, I have to say.
You're a paladin, can't you consecrate it?
Of course. Just give me a minute, and I could probably. He's looking real nervous all of a sudden.
Now, Urs is gonna take pity, move up to him and pat him on the shoulder a couple of times. Here now, lad, come with me. Let me show you what to do. Yeah.
It's like, that's a good point. I don't want to waste all of my divine power right now. We have to hold on to it in case we get into some actual trouble.
Oh, we'll just need a little bit of that divine power of yours to test one thing. Come over here, quick.
He just kind of follows on.
Urs sort leads him practically by the hand up to the tree. Now, go ahead and put your palm gently against that bark. Don't be pushing it in. We just want you to be touching the tree to begin with.
All right, very, very good. Yes, I don't see where this plan is going, but I am completely on board. Yes. So he goes and he puts his his clawed hand as gently as he can on the tree.
Okay, very good.
Good.
Good boy.
Now, reach into yourself and feel that spark of goodness and heroism. The thing that keeps you driving and moving. The thing that keeps your gloria coming, and the thing that makes your ancestors proud of you.
Clume kind of looks at Quinn. Clume kind of looks at Quinn. She's like, goodness?
Goodness? In this? Like, I don't know.
You focus on that, Warren, and you let out that energy through your hand, and a blast of necromantic energy explodes across the tree and beyond it as well. The tree itself swells. The little dents that Urist and Clume had placed upon it by thumping at it or whacking at it with their staff immediately swell out with necromantic energy, as if fixing themselves. New bark, or undead bark, it's tough to say, swelling out and growing in its place. The tree no longer has a shiver to it, a weak, pathetic shiver.
Puppet.
It swells and it grows.
Oh.
Its roots splinter anew and dig deep into the ground that quickly is sapped of life. The branches push outwards into the sky, and the blooms burst open into black and purple leaves
Oh man.
that stretch out towards the sky
Explode.
and then ultimately begin to fall again. All around all of you. I need everyone to make dexterity saving throws.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Okay,
as Urs sees that that's starting to come down, she's gonna cry out, "Back! Everyone back!"
But the leaves fall and they singe your skin and they cause your skin or fur or beard or whatever it tends to hit to start to dry out and spark off in pain before you brush off the leaves and quickly back up out of the way.
It cannot affect my beard. It is too tough.
It's too
It is
tough.
too tough. Okay, it affects your
This-
face under the beard.
This is
That's
also
probably
like this.
accurate.
This affects Warden too, right?
Unless you have resistance to necrotic
Okay,
damage.
no, he does not. He does not.
Okay, yeah, then you are affected as well.
He's looking pretty shook right now.
Yep. The
As we
tree-
back out of the area,
The tree now looks in full bloom, with black and purple leaves and petals drifting slowly in the wind, falling to the ground and causing that decay to slowly spread. It stops after a while. It doesn't continue spreading beyond the roots of the tree, but there is definitely an area of necrotic ground now around this revivified tree.
Urs is going to squint briefly at the tree again. Say, Warren, just to check here, you have been able to heal by putting your hands on things before, right?
Well, so
Quinn will quickly speak up and just say, no. He is not.
it was an accident. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
Am I able to make an arcane inspection of the tree at this point?
Absolutely. You could do a knowledge arcana check or you can do an investigation check.
Right, and do I get any sort of sense of the purpose of it?
The purpose? Yes, you do. Seeing the rune, seeing the effect, this looks like an experiment. That's the sense that you get. This was somebody testing something to see if it would work.
Since Audrey checked it for arcane substance, Clume being a spore druid, having a kind of affinity with nature's death and the cycle of life when it comes to nature, she wants to see if the tree is suffering in a way.
The spirit of this tree seems, well, relieved. As if, like, similar to how a flower seems to firm up and you know, seem a little healthier after it's freshly watered.
It's like finally nutrients.
Yeah.
Sustenance.
That is the feeling that you get, even in this weird, magically induced, maybe divine-induced undead state.
Aye, and that brings us back to the bigger question at hand. Basically, what are we gonna do about it? Do we simply reveal it to our benefactor? Or are we going to go and follow the classic dwarven adage?
What?
What would that be?
Oh, there's a classic adage in dwarven. Dakurash. It means the tree will die.
Boom immediately says no.
I mean, it's already dead.
Technicalities are not something that we respect.
It's like,
All right. Well, if we're not going to be cutting it down right this moment, let us move on, see about the rest of our trek, and investigate the area.
Well, as everyone's starting to leave, Plume kind of like stays like 1 or 2 paces back, and she turns towards the tree. She kind of like, as everyone's walking, walks up towards it and takes out a couple of her like little necrotic spores. You know, she shakes her mushroom cap and kind of just like leaves it by the roots. And she's like, I don't know if this will help, but maybe this could keep you going for a couple of extra days. And walks away, like kind of like dashes away from it.
Hold on, I gotta look something up.
Uh-oh.
The tree is so starved for food.
it's like, no, don't leave.
Bloom just wants to help nature.
Oh, here it is.
Party gains a new homie, undead tree.
It is true, Father. It followed me home. Can we keep it?
Can we keep it?
Okay,
Goodness.
okay, all right,
The
all
fact
right.
that he's spending so much time looking just scares the shit out of me even more.
Okay, I'm gonna have
Tree
to
erupts from the ground.
look up some more things on that.
Oh,
But
perfect.
yeah, so you do that. You leave some spores. You wish the tree health, I suppose.
Yeah, and she
And-
apologizes for hitting it.
And you continue right along.
Oh, baby.
I may have just started the catalyst for world-ending situations.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
How could you?
So the party arrives at last at the site of Spippin D. Winklebottom's slaying of the giant lizard.
That sigh.
The claw jutting up out of the ground has been tipped over freshly, since you
I wonder
did
who
do
did
that
that.
just
I
yesterday.
wonder who
Gee,
did that.
Wonder what happened.
It seems that there are no signs, at least immediately, of anything further happening. Dust has settled. The area is roughly as you remember it. You spread out. Look for clues.
Ooh.
Like the ancient hero, Scooby of the Dew.
The Scooby of the
no.
Dew.
I'm kidding. That's not canon. I'm not making that canon. Fuck all of you.
Obvious.
Screw you, Scooby Doo.
we already have Spippin D. Winklebottom. We don't need
Yeah,
no fucking
yeah, we don't-
Scooby-Doo canonic.
Yeah. And you start searching it first around the bones and around the area of the hole. And the first thing you find are your own tracks from the previous day, where you went out, investigated the bones, and then quickly retreated back into the cave when the claw came tumbling down. You start there and spread out. There are the large stones that have come from the wall, remnants of flaked off concrete and bricks and cobble that have fallen from there, and you don't find much there. The bones themselves have been weathered and scorched by the sun and worn away by the wind, and you don't find much there. It isn't until you all start searching among the trees themselves that you begin to find signs of life. Not just the living trees themselves and the birds and animals that live among them, but signs that others have been here. Where a branch here or there has been cut with a hatchet or some other relatively blunt instrument. Where scraps of cloth have been left behind at the base of a tree. Eventually you find the remains of an old campfire. Stones blackened in a ring, and the campfire itself overgrown with moss, but the stone ring is rather identifiable.
Well, we're going to investigate more closely, I suppose. What sort of stone? What sort of markings on it? Anything fancy going on?
The stones themselves are the same as those from the wall. It looks like somebody had picked them up, arranged them in a circle, and built a campfire that has long since been snuffed out, and the fresh charcoal giving life to little bits of grass and moss coming out of the ash. There's a few
Both
things
goes
that aren't
slow.
adding up, and you're starting to notice. The stones are black with soot, relatively fresh soot. Any rain would have washed that away. The grass and moss looks like it's growing over the where the campfire was, is more akin to a blanket that's been carefully peeled from something else and then placed over this to obscure it. That gets you the idea that this campsite, well, the last rain was about a week and a half ago, so probably no older than that.
If it's all right, Audrey's going to burn a slot and cast Detect Magic
Detect magic, okay.
on the area just to see, if there's any more illusion to it.
Absolutely. You detect magic, scanning the area around you. You pick up something, but not where you'd expect it to be. There's the campsite immediately around you. Signs of life, little bits of cloth, little faint tracks that have been worn away by time. Behind Quinn, however, there is magic of the evocation nature.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh.
Yes.
Oh no.
You follow the trail, and you find what at first appears to be a pile of sticks, just brush and detritus that has fallen from the tree above. But your magical senses draw you into those sticks. Each of them is about as big as your finger, your index finger. Maybe some as wide as your thumb. Maybe some as wide as your thumb, some as narrow as your pinky. But all of them in this little pile share something in common. Each, a rune has been whittled into the side of it before it has been cast aside. The rune for fire is carved into each of these twigs. But as you kind of look at them, you can see that there's inconsistencies with what you know. There's about maybe 20 sticks in all that you count just at a quick glance. All of them are written incorrectly.
well, all the runes on these sticks, or most of them, are incorrect. I believe someone perhaps has been practicing.
Is your spell still active?
It is.
Let's have a quick walk around this area. Seeing
Okay.
if you see anything else.
All right.
So, you and whoever wants to join, make a rough perimeter using the give or take 10 minutes that you have the spell active.
Yeah.
You pick up little motes of magic, more sticks that have runes inscribed upon them. Some rocks, even, that have runes inscribed upon them. One rock that is magical is about the size of your fist, but is incredibly heavy for what it looks like. And it has the rune for weight inscribed upon it. Your eye is drawn to that. And another bit that that catches your eye, it catches your magical sensor, is a bone, likely from some local animal, that has the rune for eyes inscribed upon it.
Quinn,
Yes.
you know something about these runes and the magic they're in, yeah?
I would say so.
Why don't you go ahead and give that one a little scratch with the tip of that there spear of yours? Make sure this stops working, whatever it is.
And Quinn will do just that. He'll take his... Oh, I guess his spear might be referring to... like the yellowy staff he carries, I'm assuming, Alex?
He's pointing to whichever long arm weapon you've got, basically.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, he'll take that and he'll take the end of it to kind of scratch... Well, actually, is that Mm. Is that safe to say how runes would work, Riley? If you just kind of mess it up a little, it'll.
Generally, yes. From what you and your knowledge knows, like if that rune on your great axe is damaged
Scuffed.
in some way,
Mhm.
not necessarily like scuffed, like it can still hold its magic through a decent amount of beating because you as a rune knight know how to inscribe it properly onto your axe.
Right.
This being in a bone, yeah, likely all you have to do is scuff it up a little bit and it will lose its power.
Well, considering what happened before, Clume kind of like looks at them holding the bone, and she's like, "Wait, 1 second." She runs behind a tree far away from them. Okay.
Well, with that all handled, then, why don't you go ahead and gather up all these little bits of magical bark and bits? Go ahead and take them along with us.
She would have
So-
no clue.
Gathering up the evidence that you have, you return to the city. Coming back inside, you make your way back into the barracks, down the hallways that smell of sweat and iron and coal, and back to Gregian Daenor's office. He welcomes you with an expectant smile and says, "Ah, you're back a little earlier than I expected. What do you have for us?"
We dump out the bag full of ruined sticks and rocks.
We do not dump the bag of sticks on his back.
No.
That'd be funny.
If you don't
Yeah.
stop him from doing that, Adre gets to do that.
I am absolutely going to do that.
Okay.
Ernst is absolutely going to put an arm in front of that.
Okay, roll a dexterity check.
Jesus Christ.
Just throw the hot sticks.
Okay,
Yeah, the hot stings.
Adre, roll a dexterity check as well.
All
Is
right.
Adre actually competing against me?
This
in
is a
this?
competing dexterity check, yes.
Booyah!
Adre steps forward, upends the bag, out comes the fire rune sticks. Uris, you see what's happening just a second too late. You lunge forward to try to stop your friend from doing it, but it's too late. You got 20
Whoosh.
sticks of fire all on the desk. One of them begins sparking.
Yes.
Smack it to put it out.
Okay, you smack it and it goes out. Daenor like makes to stand up and he kind of puts his hand on his chest. He's like, "The hell is this?"
Ernst proceeds to give Ernst gives Adre a quick backhand up across the hat, high as she can reach, more or less.
And Edric just gives a shit-eating grin.
It's like,
Very
It while we were out by the site, you know, the one, we've discovered that it's apparently been in use more recently. We found a patch of stone that had signs of recent fire upon it, and, gesturing towards the pile of sticks, a number of sticks with a magical rune for fire carved into them, badly. It looks like someone has been practicing some runic magic right out by the bones.
And when she says bones, Audrey's going to hold up the bone that had the eye rune carved in it.
First, we'll also point to that one. The rune you can see there, just a bit scratched out, is a rune that had to do with eyes, and I suspect whoever has been practicing wants to be able to watch with them.
I see. So these runes are magical in some facet.
Mm-hmm. That's the long and short of it.
Damn. We could use all the magic we could get. And somebody out here is practicing to, dig holes and spy on people with bones?
As of yet, it doesn't seem like any of them actually have to do with the hole being what it is. The only other thing we found to that effect was a couple of bricks that had runes from the hole that had runes in them themselves. One of it's just made the singular brick a bit heavier.
Is there anything else that you can tell me about your investigation?
Oh, yes. And Audrey hands over the notes he took on the tree.
At this
There's
time,
the homie.
Plume kind of, when Audrey starts mentioning the tree, she kind of like puts her head down to where the mushroom kind of like covers her face, and she kind of just like turns around and sits on a nearby chair.
Okay, so Clume's chilling out, and Adre presents the notes. Daenor opens them up, and he says, "A dead tree,
Undead tree more.
an undead tree. What's an undead tree?"
Well, that's fairly straightforward. Erst gestures in a vague sort of sense, just like we've got undead people. It's a tree that doesn't grow because it's eaten and doing the usual things, but is moving about and, well, not moving much, but growing and doing what trees do, based upon some other sort of magical energies.
And this tree was right outside the wall,
Aye.
and its leaves seem to cause things, and he's reading from your notes, seems to cause things to decay.
Mm-hmm.
Aye. They have a necrotic effect. They rot things away. Not in the manner of acid, but more in the manner of, well, death?
Now, here's a question, Adre. Do you
Yes.
include in your notes the events leading up to...
What Warren did?
Yeah,
The negative energy? Hell no.
yeah. No, you
Hell
don't.
no.
Okay.
Hell no.
Audrey does not trust or like the guards much
Okay.
after what all happened.
So you
So,
wrote these
bare
notes
minimum.
as if the state of the tree as you left it was how you found it, roughly? Okay.
Yes.
With that, Captain Daenor is going to close his eyes and shake his head and rub his temples. He says, "I cannot believe that this escaped the notice of the Outwall Patrol. This is ridiculous."
This is ridiculous.
It, don't be. I don't think you should be too hard on them. Could be that the tree went into recent bloom or something.
Okay. Interesting. Well, that's a good start to what we needed.
Now, the one thing I should point your attention to is that the tree has a pair of runes carved right into the base of it. One for cold and one for death. Not especially surprising, given what it can do, apparently. However, if we're taking this at face value, it might be the same rune mage who's interested in carving these runes here too. And, Adre, didn't you say something about... Ernst just sort of waves a hand expectantly towards the conclusions that we've been over.
It's not normal magic. It's not like the creatures in here that rise from the dead, and it's not like anything I can work with.
Interesting.
So the tree could be not just a novel bit of runic magic. Could be experimental. Someone flexing their muscles, so to speak.
I do not like the idea of somebody outside the walls practicing magic that they don't even seem to be able to, and he gestures again to the sticks, be able to control properly. So someone doesn't want to be found. They're practicing magic. There's an undead tree right outside the walls.
And given that a few of the bricks had runes on them, they clearly knew the hole was there.
You think so?
Ernst just sort of shrugs. Where we found the brick, it'd be hard to miss the hole.
I see. No, that makes sense. Okay. Well, let me give you your... let's call it a stipend.
A stipend.
A stipend is a good term for it, sir.
Yeah, all right. And he pulls open a drawer, and it looks like he's already prepared a couple of small pouches of gold coin. Mm-hmm. And he lays them out one by one in the front of the desk, on the other side of the fire sticks. And each one contains 25 gold. Daenor is going to look at Warren specifically.
Now, Warren, contrast, he can tell, like, Warren's not hiding it or anything. But, he can tell that Warren's, like, a lot more grumpy. That he's not as, ready to go energy as he was earlier.
He's not posing.
Yeah, he's not
nothing.
posing on nothing.
Yeah.
He just has, like, his pet rock slung under one of his arms. And he just, like, he hasn't
heavy
even...
rock.
It's very heavy rock. He's, like, he's occasionally fishing, holy symbols out of his little bag, his little trinket bag. He hasn't noticed that the reward has been like handed out. He's just like pondering. He's pondering his holy relics.
Mr. Paladin, is there something you want to add to this conversation?
Yes. I'm sorry. I was just communing with the gods. You know how it is. Just it's been a long day dealing with
Make a deception check.
he just
No.
Warren with a deception
It's always
check.
high stakes with Warren because we know how min-max this
Yeah.
character is.
High stakes. 4.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Oh baby.
Jesus Christ. A 4. Aren't you a charisma-based character as well? Like,
Yeah, he is. I can't know what the roll. The 2, man. The 2.
oh my god. One of the 8 million charisma-based casters still rose low on a charisma skill.
Love it. Love it. Daenor quirks a brow. He nods a little bit, but he doesn't say anything.
He's like,
He says, all right. Well, get some rest. I imagine walking the circumference of the wall was not easy. I'm going to think on this and get my men to do some investigation as well. Come back tomorrow, and we will have some more information for you, I hope. You all decide, together to go to the good old Axe and Boot. There we go.
Warren
Go
just
ahead and you can move your
slumps into a
character, get settled into a. You can see that the repairs are forthcoming on the holes in the
holes.
floor. Ifany smiles and waves a happy welcome, and sees Warren and gives a little bit of a sigh, but she manages to bite it back. And she welcomes. Ifany comes around, takes your orders, and goes to help prepare them. Gives Warren a sidelong look and says, "You right there, big guy?"
So he puts his pet rock on the table with a hearty thud. The table kind of creaks a little bit.
There's a bend now in the table. You can tell it's all shifted over a little bit. Just the weight of the rock. But yes, go on.
It's just one of those days where you think you have everything under control and things are looking up for you, and then trees. He just 1,000-yard stares off out like the wall.
She considers that, nods. Right, I'll be right back with your order. And sprays off.
If you are a paladin, and I do think you are a paladin, you've got power already. I'm just not sure which god it's hooked up to, if any.
He sits there and he's like, so he opens his mouth. He gets ready to say something. He stops. He tilts his head. He's like trying to puzzle this out, right? Very slow. You can see the hamster getting tired in his head. You can feel the big thunk he is doing right now.
Big thunk. It's about at that moment that Ifany interrupts the big thunk with food and ale. And waters and whatever drinks that other people order as well.
He holds his hands up slowly and he's just looking at him between them. He's like, this isn't how this works.
Where is my divine power coming from? Are those pretzels?
You all have your meal. You consider the duties of the day, and you consider Captain Daenor's request for you to return the next day. before we roll into the next day, is there anybody that has any business that they would like to tend to before that happens?
Okay. In that case, Erst will briefly drop by and touch base with the. Sorry, which clan was it?
Thunderforge. You enter the blacksmithery and you are greeted by actually a reception room first. There's a large book where orders and notes can be recorded. There's a desk where a gnomish woman waits on customers. She has kind of dirty blonde hair that kind of comes in short waves down her shoulders, and she's wearing a fine, professional-looking tunic. And she looks up at you from behind little glasses and says, "Oh, can I help you?"
Certainly. I'm here to speak to Flint Thunderforge.
"Oh, Flint, okay. I will get him in just a moment."
Thank you.
She hops off her little stool, which doesn't really make much difference in her height, and she scurries tick 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 around to call into the back room. "Flint! Oh, Flint! Hi! You have a customer!" "Right!"
Oh, this
There
is
is
perfect. This is
a-
glorious.
Thumping of metal on something heavy, and you can kind of hear a rustling of things. The man comes around, and he is immense for a dwarf. This is a man that is broad, muscular, and even rather tall for a dwarf. He has bronze on the darker side of skin. He's got an immense gray beard that's wider than it is long, and a long, kind of tapered mustache. Bald head, but he has been tattooed across one side of that in almost like a faux hawk pattern of dwarven runes that follow the line of his head. And he looks down to you, being the tall, large man that he is. "Oh, Estan's daughter."
Aye, that be me. And you must be Flint.
"That's me, Flint Thunderforge. A pleasure to finally make your acquaintance."
And the forge is my pecs.
She gives him a quick glance down and a quick glance up and a wry little grin. Aye, it'd be a pleasure to be finally meeting you too.
"What can I do for a daughter of the Eshtan?"
Oh, that be one preposition we could be using there, lad. But for the moment, I think the best thing would be I've got some questions about stone, of all things.
"Don't say a dwarf of the Eshtan asking Thunderforge about stone."
Oh, I could tell you quite a bit about carving stone, if that's what you mean, and laying it, and of course, she strokes her beards for a brief moment. Sorry, she strokes a big ol' hand down her beard for a second, and of course, I can tell you about breaking stones as well, but it's more than stone, something more specific. I hear you may be knowing someone with connections to a city far to the north.
"Oh. Northstone."
Aye.
He gets real serious real fast.
Northstone.
No more laugh. No more jolly, glad to be talking to you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
What roll?
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Roll, Reggie.
What do you
Sensing-
want know about the stone from Yefshire?
Perhaps we should. She gestures with a hand. Speak somewhere just a bit more quiet-like, yeah?
He looks over at the gnome, looks back to you, nods once, and gestures to follow. He leads you. Huh?
I was gonna say, when you started your dwarf voice initially, I fucking choked on my water. I had to mute my mic for a minute.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
No.
Flint takes you back through his forge. You can see the variety of anvils of different shapes that he uses to shape various things. The tools all neatly arrayed on racks, and of course, the large blazing forge with brass accents that decorate it. A rather ornate feature for an otherwise very utilitarian looking area. He guides you past that into an office. It's a bit dusty, a bit dirty, but he brushes off a chair with a cloth and he says, "Sit."
And she does, happily enough.
He takes his own seat across from you. There's not really a desk between you, more like a desk to the side. He takes his seat, crosses his arms over his chest. "Right. What do you want to know about Yefshire and their stone?"
They're dirty, dirty stone.
Now, I've heard tell that you've got some connection there, so you know someone who knows someone, perhaps, and that you know something about the stone and its quarrying and all that. I also know that we may be in need of it soon. You probably have heard talk about wall expansions and other such things, and while I will not confirm nor deny any particulars, suffice to say, more stone would be a good thing, aye?
You can see he's kind of licking his teeth under his mouth, just kind of chewing on that. And he leans forward and he says, "Daughter of the Eshtan asking about my connections to Yefshire. You're strangely well connected."
Daughter of the Eshtan, I am. But Eshtan, she speaks it in very carefully enunciated Dwarven. The word means smith.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot strictly say I am. Oh, I've held the hammer a time or two, but my skills, my skills with my hands are more towards brewing, and certain other things that I don't think I'll be showing you. But connections. The talk and the talk of the town, the nobles moving coin. These are things that I can forge just as well as my father can strike an anvil.
He's clearly holding back from you. There's something he wants to say, but doesn't.
Now, are we thinking wants to say, but he's being too polite, or wants to say, but he's reluctant?
Insight check.
Very good.
Oh.
22.
Wants to say, but he's reluctant.
She waves a hand. Go ahead and say. You're not going to be hurting any feelings here.
How much do you know about the foundation of Arcala?
In terms of the masonry, or in terms of the history?
The masonry.
She crosses her arms. Good stone. Old stone. Not stone I'd think is sea stone, though, no?
Living stone.
Living stone. She leans in. She takes no pains to hide her curiosity there.
The stone that makes the foundation of Arcala and her walls is a closely guarded secret where it comes from. But what I can tell you is that the stone bleeds.
Oh. That's a revelation.
She crosses her arms, furrows her brow. That is a secret that I'll be holding close.
Aye,
Believe
you better.
me.
If you were anyone other than the Eshtan coming around asking,
I'd kill ye.
I expect you understand the gravity of what you're asking about.
She nods, and and in proper dwarven fashion, she makes a short, brief, and to-the-point statement. It be important, and by the ancestors, I won't be blabbing.
I know a man. He may be able to help you get more of the living stone. But it will take time to talk to him. He doesn't come by my forge very often.
She nods. That's fine. Hopefully it won't be too urgent.
I
But
hope not.
if and you can pass on... She waves a hand. If and you can get us connected, get us talking.
I trust the Eshtan clan well enough for that. Right then, I'll send you a letter when I talk to him. Off you trot.
She grins and offers a hand, or rather an arm, to clasp.
He does so. Meet you with that. Next time you come by, talk about something a bit nicer, eh?
She grins, and there's a bit of a glint in her eye as she goes, "Oh, aye. Perhaps I'll tell you about how I got the braids in my beard."
Now that's a story that would be good payment for the one that I just told you.
When next we meet, then?
It's a date then.
Oh no. Oh no.
She
Dwarven lore.
she grins, and she grins a little broader, and that glint gets a little brighter. Oh, a date, is it? I don't know. Are you sure you can be handling a lass like me?
Under Forge can handle any kind of steel, even Eshtan steel.
Oh, the comeback.
Jesus Christ. This dude better be a fucking bard as well.
Well, it was a little less steel and a little more iron that I was speaking of, but
Flirting.
we'll see just what Thunderforge hands can do when next.
Aye, we will.
And off she trots.
And she trots.
On your bike.
Oh
Oren,
man.
are you going to be doing
So-
anything this evening?
So all right. So the fact that all right. So the fact that it's like, because it was implied that, you know, oh yeah, you have divine divine power. Oh no, see, Warren is he's doing too much of a thunk right now to realize what, like he like tipping is off of his mind right now. He's like eating stuff just passively as he's thinking. So the problem is don't serve the Warren, there's your tip.
Wow.
So he's sitting there. It does not compute with him in any regard of any meaning of the word that like his powers equate to a divine being. Like that's not how that works, right? Like divine being, they do heroic stuff like healing and like sheltering and like inspiring. They don't explode in necrotic damage, right? Mm-hmm. So he's just like, he just doesn't understand. It does not compute with him at all. So he's sitting there like, he's like thinking in loops over and over. He has an error 404 going on. He's like, but I'm blessed by a deity, but I don't have the deity powers. But then what deity is it? But I can't be blessed. And so he's like, he has his entire, you know, it's like one of those conspiracy boards, but he's got like all of his like spread across the table.
Board, but it's like one string connects to one thing, and then to one other thing, and then just back to the original thing.
Yeah, and
Yes,
strings are connected to
it's-
strings.
It's 3 pins, a single loop of string, and a triangle around it. And he's squinting at the middle going, but why though?
But what? It's
Warren's
like-
thinking, but the wheels spinning, but the hamsters have unionized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're on strike.
And all these holy symbols are like in between the food as he's like he's like using some pieces of food to like sort of connect things before he like eats it and then forgets what he connected. Like
Yeah, Ifany is just watching you draw lines in sauce between your various holy symbols, and she's like, I have to clean that up later. Oh my god.
He's just trying to do a big think right now, and it's not going well.
You telling me you don't make art using your ketchup at fast food restaurants?
Yeah, come on.
That's just more proof that you're really only 3 years old, Barry.
Shut up!
I hated kids like you, Barry. When I worked fast food.
Warren's doing a big thong, and I imagine that's what you're doing.
Yeah, pretty much for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, you're just trying to figure this out. Eventually, Ifany taps Warren on the shoulder and says, "Are you done eating?"
No. He keeps eating, slowly reaches over, like grabs something, and he doesn't even know what he grabbed, he just eats it.
It's a napkin.
It's a napkin.
She taps him again. That's a plate.
He's just nomming on it. No. And he draws makes another sauce connection between like a chicken wing and like a piece of ham.
She taps him a third time. Am I gonna get paid?
No.
She kind of throws her hands up and says,
It's well seasoned.
The
"Manager." Played as well seasoned, yeah. Eventually, because at this point, a lot of your other compatriots have left by now. You're alone there in the tavern, even though we'll do one of these. Bop. Everyone else is left by now.
Okay.
They've all gone off. You're still there. Ifany is like trying to get payment out of you. The Willem comes around and taps Warren on the shoulder. Hey, big guy. You doing okay there?
No, he's not. He's got like at one hand he's got a bunch of like food, and in another hand he's got a bunch of holy symbols, and he accidentally eats one of the holy symbols.
Oh my!
You just ate one of your necklaces. You know that?
How is it connected? I don't understand.
Ifany, could you do that thing? Like you do when we have the kids' birthday parties. But to your friend here. Could you do that? And Ifany is like, with pleasure. And she places her hands on either side of Warren's face and blasts him with fire.
Oh, what?
Fire just right inside of his helmet. It's like your skull is being microwaved for a flash of a moment.
Why does she do this for kids' birthday parties?
It's usually not directly on their face. It's usually like to light candles and stuff like that. But in this case, this does 6 fire damage to your face.
Oh, baby.
Right. Fucking, why would you do that on birthday?
It's a really great trick, So
Yeah,
he
kids
just
love it.
He jolts, and it's just like, why am I? When is here?
And Ifany kind of
Surprisingly valid question.
smirks, gives him a bop on the nose, and says, "Hey, you got to pay for your meal."
Oh, of course. I must have been, I was deep in prayer. Yes. So he like fidgetly, scrambles around to like pull out however much he needs to pay with.
It ends up being a measurement in silver, and I imagine for whatever reason you just don't have any on your person, so you end up handing over a whole gold.
Okay. Excellent.
And she's like, "Thank you," and pockets it.
But of course.
Willem and Ifany are like talking as they walk away, and they're like, "That should probably help, pay for the plates that he ate."
Exactly. So he sits there and he looks at the mess he's made. He's like, why would anyone do that? So he like collects his holy symbols and goes upstairs to put on his puppy dog pajamas and go to bed.
Oh my god. Okay.
Like, who made this mess?
So, you all settle in for the evening, and if nobody else has anything to take care of for the evening, then we'll go ahead and roll into the last bit here tonight.
Alrighty.
What do you mean by the last bit? Like something's gonna happen at night, or?
Well, that's yet to be seen. Is there anything else that you want your character to do before the night rolls over?
So,
No.
well, this is kind of like when it's like nighttime and everyone's, like prepping for bed and stuff like that. Gloom this time, instead of she normally waits for Quinn to just go to bed first before she usually does this. But she a little bit earlier than normal is already kind of hanging by the window, and it's like sitting on the edge of it, looking out and stuff like that. And she waits for Quinn to walk in. And when Quinn walks in, she kind of just turns her head a little bit, but not really looking at her. And she kind of says, "Do you think they're gonna cut down that tree?"
Quinn is kind of taken aback by such a sudden question, and he thinks about it for a moment, and tilts his head, hums to himself. I'm not sure. Why do you ask?
Kum kind of she shakes her head, and she's like, she kind of has a hard time bringing out the words, considering she's held it in for so long. But she's like, recently, well, not recently, it's been happening for a while actually. I've been kind of having nightmares, and these kind of nightmares have been kind of playing out how things have been happening with this group, but in a kind of a more, how would I say this, dark way.
Quinn's ears are pricked up now, oh shit, this is actually very serious.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So he makes his way across the room and sits down a little hesitantly, because he's like, does she want me close by? But he kind of sits to her, and kind of looks at her for a long moment and says, well, what exactly have you been dreaming about? Has it been exactly as our days have been playing out?
Not exactly recently. It seems like my dreams are not entirely accurate, but recently I've been having dreams of, she kind of says this insanely fast, to the point where Quinn might not have, well, not might, she definitely would not have understood her the first time, but Clune's like, all of our colors burning down! Insanely fast.
What?
What?
He heard maybe Arcala in there, and he's like, what?
Oh, wait, well, back up.
My dreams, a certain town has been burning down, and that town happens to be Arcala.
Quinn thinks that over for a moment.
When a birthday goes too far.
His knowledge lies in runes, not so much in dream explanation, I suppose. So he's feeling a little unsure of what to make of this.
And Clue's kind of all I kind of remember from the dream was that tree got cut down, and it may have started a catalyst. But I'm not entirely sure. I mean, you probably remember, but do you remember when I told you that I have a brother?
Yes, I remember.
He's kind of a professional, I guess you would call, in the ways of the mind. He's kind of he can understand these kind of situations, because these kind of dreams have been happening for a while, even before I came here. It's just, I don't know where he is. It's just, he disappeared one day, and I'm worried that these dreams might come true. And at this point, she kind of like starts tearing up, and she kind of just like gets
Aw.
off the window, walks towards Quinn, and gives him a hug.
Oh,
Oh.
Quinn will definitely hug her back. You know, and he says, "I'm not sure what happened to your brother, but we'll keep an eye out for him, for sure. And as for the tree, exactly how accurate have your dreams been this far?"
Well, we met exactly the same people, and remember when I was constantly looking around in the tavern in a panic?
Yes.
Kum kind of just like nods her head, and kind of like reaffirming that she kind of knew what was gonna happen.
Perhaps before we settle for bed, we should have a talk with Captain Daynor to ensure that no one messes with the tree.
I mean, I left him a little note, but it was kind of just saying, like, you know, like, oh, test the leaves for medicinal uses, test the bark. Maybe it's a stronger type of sturdy bark that you could use, you know, like, hopefully he follows it,
Right.
but I don't know.
Well, you at least did that much, and that's, I think, as much as we can do without revealing everything. Which may be a bad idea.
We'll see. And, like, as you know, she's holding onto Quinn, she slowly just, like, drifts off into a sleep.
Aww.
Oh.
It's kind of at that
Quinn-
moment. Well, I was.
Yep,
It
go
was
ahead,
kind
go
of.
ahead.
It was kind of at that moment that Quinn kind of noticed that, like, Plume normally kind of has like little bags under her eyes, and Quinn could kind of assert that it's probably due to a lack of sleep for this exact reason.
Aww.
And you all dream. And you dream the same dream.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
You know that you're dreaming the same dream because you see each other within the dream. You find yourself standing in a desolate plain. It is dark. The moon is gray, casting a pall across the cracked, dry earth that stretches almost perfectly flat in every direction. There is nothing on the horizon except blackness. You all stand out in stark contrast to this bleak area. Warren with his gleaming armor, Urist with her bright red and blue accoutrements, Adre with his mushroom hat and dark green robes, and Clume with her own blue mushroom hat and bright green skin, and of course, Quinn with his gray fur and brightly colored axe and armor as well. You almost glow a little bit just because you stand out that much from each other. When you try to speak, no sound comes forth. When you try to move, you find yourself as if walking on, as if the earth is moving opposite to you, pulling you back and keeping you in place. So there you are, standing in a circle, facing each other, with all of this desolate land around you. In between you all, as you come to realize the limits of your capabilities, is a black sapling. The leaves a black and purple.
Uh-oh.
The roots slowly but meaningfully stretching out towards each of you, moving through the ground like snakes as they approach your feet, though the sapling does not seem to grow. These roots stretch out, wrap around your feet, and around your ankles and crawl up your legs. You can feel them prickling at your skin or your fur or whatever else you may have, sliding under your clothing and gripping to your body, clutching at your muscles and your joints, rising over your knees and over your thighs, up your hips, and soon crawling up your chest and around your back, over your shoulders, around your arms, covering you in black, writhing roots that grow and grow and grow until they wrap around your fingers, and you can see your hands covered in these roots that make your hands appear as if they end in wicked talons. And it is there that you hear a voice whispering into your ear. Worship me.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
God.
The ward's like,
That is
"On
where
it!"
we are going to end for the evening.
No! Another dream sequence.
But of course.
No.